Okay, this is a video on sourdough. So the last video I posted was of a sourdough starter that I had purchased online. That was, what do you call that? Like dried out powder that you revive. It did not work. I did not skip any days. It molded, but in a very odd way that I couldn't understand. So I had to ditch that entire batch where up here on the jar there was mold, like fuzzy mold, which is not, I don't know, not something I usually see on sourdough starter. So I now have started my own, which I was not successful with this last year. However, this time I did 2 batches because I figured if one fails, maybe the other will succeed. And I did 2 methods. As you can see here, I did one with the loose lid and one with the cloth. So I did notice last time I did a sourdough, I did the cloth method. It dried, made a crust on the top of my sourdough starter. This time I thought, you know what, we're just going to roll with it. We're going to start and we're going to see what happens. Because a lot of people use this method. This is actually one that comes with a sourdough kit. It's inside out because, I don't know. It's just, it is. So I just did it with unbleached all-purpose flour and filtered water from my Brita. My water is kept at room temperature. And of course, I only use unbleached flour. I did not do it with the wheat flour this time, and so maybe that's why it's being successful. I don't know. This seems to be working. I believe this is day 5 or 6 now. I want to say day 5. So it smells very yeasty, but you can see all the beautiful bubbles in there. Those are bubbles. And those are bubbles. And I have not discarded any. You want to get a strong base going before you do a discard, at least for a week. I'm probably going to do a couple more days, and the jars are getting kind of full. So probably 2 more days, and then by this weekend I will do a discard and see if they stay. They're not exactly rising a lot. You can see where it is bubbling, and that is what you want. So it is active. That means that it's active. When you get the air pockets, I do stir it every time. Obviously, you have to stir it in. What I have been doing is very, very, very simple. Anybody can do. This is how I started it. The first day, you want to usually add equal parts water and flour. However, the first batch is very, very liquidy. So the first 2 days I did the small tablespoon. This is the larger tablespoon. But I did like the small tablespoon the first few days. And then I noticed that it seems to be like more starving, where it's got that really, really strong yeasty smell, like an alcoholic kind of fermentation going on there. That means usually it's hungry. So I have been doing the bigger spoon. My first 2 days I did 2 spoonfuls of flour, 1 spoonful of water, stirred in, and that got a thicker base going. And then from there, I just been doing 2 and 2, I think. Or did I do, I feel like I did 2 and 1 water one day because it was still kind of liquidy. It just kind of depends. I feel I do better, and it could also vary between how warm your house is and what climate you're in and things like that. My kitchen is pretty cool, more so. So you do want to make sure that when you're stirring it, use something soft. A rubber spatula is what's best because you don't want to clink the jar. So I just put the measurements in. I usually do 2 very good sized. I don't really measure. I before have weighed them. The previous sourdough I had that was successful, I did weigh the, what did I do it on? Kilograms. I did it based on kilograms. I believe it was kilograms or grams. I don't know. Anyways, whatever measurement, on a scale that's like used for this kind of thing, baking and stuff. But even then, I feel like some days it needs fed more. So I just base it off of how I feel it looks. So when I put my flour in and I stir it, which is hard to do with one hand, I kind of go based on texture, and if it's too thick, then I add more water, and if it's really watery, I add more flour, because I feel mine does better when it is more thick and not more runny. So you just have to kind of play around with it. I'm going to add one of these spoonfuls of water and stir them, and then I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so now you have a thick, gooey consistency in both of these. So they are thick. That's how I feel like mine work best. Again, you have to play around with it based on your location and how cold or warm your house stays, your kitchen in particular, or wherever these sit. Now, there's two methods to doing the sourdough feeding. There is one method of having it out on your counter. With that, there's a couple different things. You can either put it in warm space. Some people put it in a proofing box on low. Some people, I have a sourdough warmer tray, but I haven't used it yet, that I just got with a glass dome. You can do that or whatever. But with that method, if you're going to leave it in a warm space, you have to feed it every day, at least once a day. When you're first starting, you can feed it twice a day until it gets established. I haven't had time. I've been doing mine once a day, and it's been working for me. Method number 2 is you can put them in the fridge, or it in the fridge. If you put your sourdough starter in the fridge, it slows the fermentation process, and then you only have to feed it once a week. Okay? You do have to, if you use that process, warm it up before you use it. Okay? It has to be warm. So room temperature is fine. I guess I shouldn't say warm, but at least room temperature to a decent warmth, kind of whatever. So this time I only did 2 flour, 1 water, and that got me to the consistency that I like for mine to continue to grow. And I think by the weekend I will be able to discard, and within the next week be able to bake with mine, hopefully. Being that nothing else grows in there that shouldn't be like last time. So that is the update on my sourdough starter, and it's just mason jars. So I've been making sure I keep this lid with this one and kind of loose. You want to let the air in there, and then I gotta get this guy. Be very careful. Do not put this stuff down your drain. I try to keep it off the sides of my container, but it just doesn't work. The more you get in there, the more it's stuck to your spatula. And then it's like concrete, which is why you do not want to put this down your drain. So I will soak it and then water my plants with it when there's this much on here. If it's just a tiny bit, I do wash it in hot water, but you really, I advise against it. You're not supposed to. So I soak these and then I water the plants with them. If you do that, you want to make sure it's really diluted too. So then I'm going to just put this lid. It's like a scrunchy base. I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but I'm going to put this back on this one. And that is it for today's feeding. And then you really should do it on a schedule. I haven't. If you don't do it on a schedule, you'll just smell real yeasty smell, and that means you definitely need to feed it before it goes bad. It will mold. You will know it's molded if it's pink. Pink means mold for sourdough. So, But like I said, my last batch from the one I bought online, the jar, not my sourdough starter, but the stuff on the side of the jar molded with actual black fuzzy mold. So that was interesting to me. So this one I did on my own. And so now you can see it's all mixed in. It's no longer bubbly looking. And that's how you know the next day when it's bubbly again that it is active. That's what you want. So that's what you're looking for. Let me know if you do sourdough and what works for you. And if you have any questions, comment below.